Welcome to our Wednesday meditation service. The word for today is the words for today, I care for myself, help others, and devote myself to God. I treat myself as the beloved child of God I am. I fill my mind with positive thoughts, take good care of my body, and spend my time in pursuits that bring me fulfillment and peace. I want the others in my life to know this same kind of loving care, and I do what I can to help them know ease and grace. I may support them by listening deeply, practicing empathy, and just being a supportive presence in their lives. We're going to do a call and response, and so just get comfortable. Don't be afraid what your voice sounds like. It's just being part of what's going on that's important. Creator of all life, Om. What a blessed world we live in. Om. Sacred water, sacred air. Om. Bless the wisdom of the Holy One. Om. When I look at life, there is none but you. Om. Holy, holy. Om. Creator of all life, what a blessed world we live in. Om. Sacred life form, sacred earth. Om. Bless the love of the Holy One. Om. When I walk on earth, there is none but you. Om. Holy, holy. Om. I breathe in, I breathe out you. Om. sacred air. Om. Bless the wisdom of the Holy One. Om. Bless the love of the Holy One. Om. Bless creation by the Holy One. Om. Holy, holy. Om. I breathe in, I breathe out you. Om. All of life breathes in and out you. Om. Holy, holy. Holy, holy. Om.
Good evening, everyone. When Alan Watts had traveled to England to give a series of talks in Brighton, he was staying at a hotel in Wiltshire. He left the hotel early in the morning just to take a walk, supposing he would be able to get to the venue in Brighton that afternoon without any problem. After walking a while, he stopped to speak to a gentleman who was sweeping the street, and he asked him, "How do you get to Brighton from here?" And the fellow said, "Oh, you can't get to Brighton from here." and left it at that. You can't get there from here. And Alan Watts chuckled to himself. Evidently, the gentleman sweeping the street was trying to say there's no transportation, or something to that effect, but that you can't get there, period, from here, is an interesting thought. But it also is something that can be used to understand the human dilemma. Because in the human dilemma, we are attempting to make our lives work, operate meaningfully, harmoniously, with a modicum of peace and understanding. But in the initial state of consciousness, in the thinking of the world, that quest is not possible. We cannot find harmony. We cannot find peace. As long as we are operating from the initial state of awareness, which is the illusion of ego-centered consciousness, which derives from the illusion of separation, so that we are not really incorrect in following the ego-centered idea of life in the early years of our life, because it appears to us that we are simply separate body minds in a world of separate others and a world of separate phenomena. So it's just natural for us to develop a definition of life that holds each of us as a separate ego, body, mind, in a world of separate others. But from that perspective, and we may remain in that perspective a long time, many years, many decades even. In fact, some people completely ignore the possibility that there is anything else. They, for the most part, are disappointed with life the way it bears out, but they don't feel they have any recourse to anything else beside the suffering, the conflict, the pain, the insanity that goes with the world as we are born into it. But we are confused. And when we do go to that place in awareness where we decide there might be another way, there might be another path, another lifestyle that we can adapt that would be more conducive to harmony, peace, love, and healing. And when we're there, the possibility opens up to us. Sometimes we find a very insightful book, or we are brought to Unity somewhere, or we meet a particular sage or guru that's going to apprise us of another way to be awake while living. And A Course in Miracles, of course, speaks to this necessity to awaken to a truth that we have been in denial of since birth. And it goes like this, some of it. You can read this in the Course in Miracles text on page 415 in paragraph 1. In the new edition, which is what most of you have, I think, it's on page 446 in the text. Projection makes perception. The world you see is what you gave it, nothing more than that. But though it is no more than that, it is not less. Therefore, To you, it is important. It is the witness to your state of mind, the outside picture of an inward condition. As a man thinketh, so does he perceive. Therefore, seek not to change the world, but choose to change your mind about the world. Perception is a result and not a cause. That's a very powerful line. The line before it, as a man thinketh, so does he perceive, is from the book of Psalms. No, it's actually from the book of Proverbs. As a person thinketh, so does he or she perceive. But then it's followed by this whole truth. Perception is a result and not a cause. You see, in the initial state of consciousness, you are involved in an illusionary definition of life, supposing that circumstances come from outside to you, and therefore you judge and decide and determine how to negotiate and deal with the changing circumstances of life. But of course, in miracles and the masters down through the ages are informing us that perception is not, it's simply an awareness that we are separate from the circumstances which we perceive. But that is not true. Circumstances do not rise separate and apart from one's consciousness. Circumstances rise with one's consciousness, according to your consciousness, according to your personal collection of beliefs, which define your understanding that you call life. But your understanding of life is not the same as someone else's understanding of life. To some degree, you may agree on many things because you may have grown up in the same possible ways. But the fact is, your perception is skewed, believing that circumstances somehow arise on their own, separate and apart from you, apart from what you would possibly want or desire. So you must always be on the lookout, on your guard, defensive in dealing with life. And all that is a projection of what you believe life to be. And you have been raised in the illusion that conditions and circumstances arise separate and apart from your own thinking and awareness. And that is not true. The world you see around you is made up of your beliefs, personal beliefs that you have collected over time, your concepts, and it leads to your understanding. And then, of course, we wonder why there is such conflict in the world. Well, the vast amount of conflict in the world is caused by clashing understanding. People's idea, concept of life is clashing with someone else's concept of life or beliefs. And so, if one is seriously intent on finding harmony, healing, peace of mind, insight into living effectively, if that's really what you want, then it is incumbent to take to task your own awareness. There has to be a transformation in the definition of life that you hold within yourself, which is derived from an illusion of separation. Can you see how all of the religious ideas that are attempted to be given to people. You know, forgiveness, consideration, helpfulness, service, all of these things that it seems come from religion to tell us this is what you have to do to be right with God. You have to do these things. But you see, these are things that we would do naturally, automatically, in the awareness that everything I look upon is my own consciousness. And whatever I'm thinking and whatever actions I'm taking them in response to how I define life. And if my definition is skewed, then I may be holding a lot of different people responsible for my not liking them or fearing them, or holding a lot of conditions and circumstances responsible for my unhappiness, my depression, my anxiety. And so one in the initial state of consciousness lives in a state that is oriented by fear and blame. And that can never bring forth harmony, healing, peace, and love. That's just it. That's what the masters have said down through the ages. So, more than 2,000 years ago, when the story was going around that became the book of Deuteronomy, Moses is saying in the book of Deuteronomy, this is Moses speaking to the Israelite people, why should you ask, who will go forth for us across the sea to get it and bring it to us? The truth that we might do it. But why ask that when the truth is in your own heart so that you can hear it and do it? Thousands of years ago, saying, why are you looking outside yourself for somebody to bring you what is already present in your own heart? Only it has been covered over by a lot of false thinking, concepts, and an illusionary definition of life and self. You see, when we step out of the house or apartment or home in the morning, and we're heading for wherever, that place of work or maybe even a coffee shop, we're heading to start our day. In the initial state of consciousness, it seems like we're heading into a world of separation, which we have to negotiate and figure out. But the moment you step out of your door, everyone you see and everything you see around you is yourself. Yourself is not confined to a separate brain-embodied awareness. Yourself includes everything you see. And when you see it as part of God, and you see it as sacred, what priest or minister has to say to you, you really need to be forgiving. You need to be considerate. Because it is in giving you receive. What are you talking about? It's in giving you receive. What you are giving out from your own personal awareness is showing up in your experiences called life. And we don't have to get some authority figure, seeming authority figure, to tell us to transform the way we think and deal with those we meet on our path in life. If you want to find harmony and healing then it is incumbent upon you to make that shift in awareness. And let me warn you that the ego-centered consciousness, which has been with us from birth, always speaks first. When something is occurring in our experience and we're meeting people or conditions or circumstances that the ego may not really want, it will speak first. And it will bring us into a state of possibly condemnation or blame. And that will create negative emotions. And we go about that day or that time thinking, he should have known better, they should have done better. How could they possibly do this? Why had they let them get away with that? And then we always have these particular skirmishes going on because we're unenlightened. And if we had entered into the truth of the oneness of God, then everything would begin to appear to us as part of God and worthy then automatically of forgiveness, consideration, caring, service, helpfulness. So while we may assume that all of the difficulties and the pain and suffering that occur in our experience are from someplace other than our own awareness, it simply isn't true. Reminds me of the story of the guy who's sitting on the construction site with another construction worker, and it's lunchtime, and each of them opens their lunch pail, and the one guy looks at his lunch pail and says, "Oh, no, no, not again. Bologna sandwiches, no lettuce, no mustard." And the guy sitting next to him says, "Well, why don't you tell your wife to prepare you something else?" He says, "I'm not married. I make my own sandwiches." At least he's telling the truth. Each of us is making his or her own sandwich. And if you don't like the sandwich you've made, then the change that is required must happen from within you. So there's lots of things said in the Course in Miracles about perception. Here's another quote about perception from the Course in Miracles. This is on page 483, paragraph 2. Perception is a choice of what you want yourself to be, the world you want to live in, and the state in which you think your mind will be content and satisfied. It chooses where you think your safety lies at your decision. It reveals yourself to you as you would have you be, and always it is faithful to your purpose, from which it never separates, nor gives the slightest witness unto anything the purpose in your mind upholdeth not. Perception is a part of what it is your purpose to behold. For means and end are never separate, and thus you learn what seems to have a life apart has none. I'll read that again. Perception is a choice of what you want yourself to be. You could really put it possibly a little more clear. Perception is a choice of what you believe yourself to be. when none of us really starts this spiritual journey thinking, I'm wanting myself to have all these difficulties, conflicts, and problems. But we actually unwittingly have risen into the beliefs we have collected through life. So, perception is a choice of what you believe yourself to be, the world you want to live in, and the state in which you think your mind will be content and satisfied. It chooses where you think your safety lies at your decision. It reveals yourself to you as you would have you be. And always is it faithful to your purpose, from which it never separates, nor gives the slightest witness unto anything the purpose in your mind upholdeth not. Perception is a part of what it is your purpose to behold. For means and end are never separate, saying that what you're believing within, what you're embracing as your understanding, is being revealed to you in your relationships and your experiences in life. Very simply put in the Bible, you are reaping what you sow. And thus, you learn what seems to have a life apart, that is, those conditions, those circumstances, those activities, and the things that others do, which seem to be separate and apart from you, or not. So, the choice to find peace and harmony is a choice to enter into a completely different level of consciousness. And you cannot do that unless you step out on faith. A lot of people attempt to seek authority figures. Some people go to people like Deepak Chopra or some other spiritual teacher or sage. Many people try to go to a guru who, in essence, they're seeking someone who will be able to do it, give it to them, to lay their hands on them and change their consciousness. But all Deepak Chopra and the rest of the teachers that are truthful will do is give you truth to work with yourself that will ultimately heal your thinking. That's what will happen. You'll be receiving concepts of truth about the oneness of the divine intelligence that is God, of which we are all a part, and accessing that intelligence. By doing that, look at what you have. You have a guiding light, an omnipresent intelligence, an all-knowing intelligence that knows in any given situation what would be the best thing to do, what would be appropriate, what would bring peace and harmony. And not our personal idea of things, coming from the ego-centered idea of an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. You're going to do that, I'm going to come across and make sure that you pay for doing that. There's vengeance, and look at the world. I mean, just all you have to do is look at the world. Look at the news of the world. It's interesting because recently I saw a little article, maybe it was on the radio, that there were 5 people, it was on television, there were 5 people who were secluded for an entire year in an area that comprised everything there is on Mars. So they were living in conditions for a year that they would find if they had traveled to Mars and landed there and had to set up life on Mars. They spent an entire year away from everything, just living in an area developed for them to work with and deal as though it was Mars itself. Of course, the whole concept is that these astronauts involved in this experiment are all part of a huge number of experiments taking place, because there is in the minds of NASA and a number of the scientific community of making a Mars landing possibly as soon as 2030, and sort of setting up a colony of some kind, a human colony on Mars. And after seeing this, it just dawned on me. I don't know, it should dawn on you too. Isn't that patently absurd? That we're preparing to set up a colony of human beings on Mars when the human consciousness on this planet is certifiably insane. So what is it we're intending to do? Take our insanity to other planets once we can finally pull off the technology? Wouldn't it be more effective, instead of spending the vast amount of money being spent on these programs they're running now to develop astronauts who can possibly survive and create a colony on Mars, wouldn't it be more advantageous to first find a way to heal the insanity of humanity, to bring peace? And the only way to do that is you have to somehow or other bring to the realization high reasoning that if you want peace, you have to bestow peace. You cannot have peace if you first want to have your personal self-interests met. That you have to first be given this particular thing that you want, and then you can negotiate, and then you can compromise, and you can find a way to find peace. Of course, the other parties involved are thinking the same way, because they're just as insane as you are in the initial state of consciousness. That's why you have the madness taking place in Gaza, and you have the madness taking place in the Ukraine, and you have the madness throughout the world of all these particular people creating hatred and war among themselves. I have a different way of ending this talk, but I'm going to end it this way. If you haven't been in the group discussions with me on Sunday, I brought it up there. What would happen if everybody in the Israeli cabinet, Netanyahu and all of his right-wing conservatives who really want to just continue this bombing and military escalation in Gaza, to the extent that if they have to, they're willing to just wipe out every single man, woman, and child Palestinian in order to wipe out Hamas? What would happen if they were all successfully hypnotized and given the post-hypnotic suggestion, along with certain facts that they grew up with as Palestinians, and that they had gone through these different experiences that the Palestinians have gone through that have created a lot of anathema and angst and hatred? But if you hypnotize them into believing that they were Palestinians. And you did the same thing with the Hamas people. Would there be an opportunity, after they'd gone through this whole thing of seeing how their feelings changed when they had walked some distance in the shoes of the people that they were in conflict with? How their idea of things would have changed if they were in those shoes. Could you then, having done that, say to them, you give them now the hypnotic suggestion to awaken, and say, is it possible now for you to find some way to make peace with each other? Now that you know that it's all from past illusionary ideas that were given to you since you were a child, that are erroneous and wrong because they're not involved with the truth that we are all, first and foremost, human beings, and each human being seeking just about the same thing. So we're going to meditate together for a while. Take a couple of deep breaths. As you release your breath, release any particular concerns that you may have. Give yourself permission to be here, just sitting, allowing yourself to be okay, holding nothing against yourself or anybody else. Just sitting here, allowing your mind to rest, your thinking to relax, feeling peace. To take this particular ideal into your awareness. Gently focus on it, and don't be overly concerned if other thoughts come in. Just let them come and let them go. For these few minutes, give your attention to this truth. Having no conditioned, separate self, with no imagined needs, only love is given. Only love received. Having no conditioned, separate self, with no imagined needs. Only love is given. Only love received. Having no conditioned, separate self, with no imagined needs. Only love is given. Only love received. In this refined level of awareness, we will offer the names of those that have been submitted to our prayer list. As Norma calls the name, just let the thought of healing love go to that name.
Anthony Fox, Nicole Betts, dogs in Raleigh, North Carolina that were rescued. Perfectly Imperfect Pup Rescue. Argon the dog. Faye Russell. The Soul of Steve Taylor. Sandy Chamberlain. Emmett. Levon the dog. Donnell Smith. Zara Shanuri and family. Shaz Mosby. Pancho the dog. Rose Namajunas and dog Mishka. Westminster Hills Open Area Dog Park. Westminster City Council. Callisto. Animal Charities, Blessings, Abundance, Support. Animals Asia, World Animal Protection. Denver Dumb Friends League, Wild Animal Sanctuary. Retirement Home for Horses, Kindness Ranch. Humane Society of the Black Hills, Max Fund. Peaceful Valley Donkey Rescue, Masa, Arzo, Ahmed, Jackson H., Jennifer, Jackie, Sylvia Ronstead, Carolyn, Julie Watson, Jean Watson, Hector Roscoe, Laura Lee, Renee and Melissa, Lisa, Mom, Maria, Stephen, Bill, Sue H., Petra, Amron, Emma, Nola and Jonah, Lori, Amanda Cobb, Robert and Mom, Charlie and Lindsay and family, everyone whose hands are numb, Chester Phillips, Kate Beltrami, Sharon Jansen and brother, Lisa, Ken and Jane, Reitler, Pollock, Cindy Paul, Teresa Marco, Kayla Golith, Drago, Gloria and family, Kyle and Taylor, Zolita, Terry, Jean Renners, Burl Metagrew, Kent, Bob Barford, Timmy, Kurt, Chris, Christine, Jenny Bounce. And you can call out any name at this time if you would like to do so.
D. Matthew and family, S. Casey and family, S. Daniel and family, Sandy Spahn, Dan Spahn.
We see this healing light surrounding the prayer box and all the people's names that have been submitted throughout the month. We see them healed, physically, mentally, and spiritually.
Let us take a few moments to enter the vision of the new heaven and earth, recognizing the rising in divine awareness, in the consciousness of everyone sharing this Boulder community with us. And this divine awareness rising in the consciousness of everyone sharing the state of Colorado with us. And this divine awareness rising in the consciousness of everyone sharing these United States of America with us. And this consciousness rising in the minds, the hearts, the very souls of everyone sharing every nation, culture, and race in our world. And there being established the new harmony between all living creatures, humanity, as we pray, the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and God is love. To this we say, Amen. We will take an offering for unity now. And those of you that are watching this live stream, you can scroll down to that area that says donate, and it'll give you the different ways you can donate. Or you can, if you're watching this on our website, just go to the right-hand corner where it says donate. And then, of course, we have in the lobby the QR code for those who would like to give through PayPal or Venmo. And right here we can bring these gifts into our hands and bless them with this offering prayer. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, because I give. And so it is. Amen.
Oh ho, oh gani yo way ya hey ya, oh gan yo way ya hey ya, guy now ya hey ya, oh gan yo way ya, oh gan yo way ya hey ya, guy now ya hey ya, ho.
Join me, please. We dedicate this tithe to the will and the work of the Spirit of truth, the Spirit available to each of us, the Spirit that joins all of us. We dedicate this tithe to the victory of the Spirit of truth. Amen.
The gift store is open. We have tea and cookies and usually great conversations. So if you'd like to stay for a few minutes and check out our bookstore also and all the gifts that are there. Anybody that needs to give gifts to somebody, the best things are here at this little store that Heather does the purchasing, and she's so cool. So we'll be meeting you over there.
On Sunday, we'll be doing the usual 9 a.m. meditation service. Norm and I will be conducting that, and Santisha will be officiating at the second service at 11 o'clock. To everyone, Have a good night.